Hello everyone. This is Keping. I'm from Intel Corporation, Shanghai, China. I'm a software qualifications engineer and technical leader. I worked in software qualifications area for about 14 years. I'm also a certified CMO assessor, ISO internal assessor, and ASPICE internal assessor. I'm glad to be here this year to present in PNSQC. I wish everyone has a wonderful time here. Today, I'm going to introduce you a new software qualifications methodology, which is suitable for hybrid, waterfall, and agile development. This is called mixed waterfall and agile execution previously. So these are the abbreviations used in this translation. Please pay attention to SWAD and SWAM. They are the key for today's session. So first, SWAD. SWAD is hybrid waterfall and agile development. And SWAM is the software qualifications methodology for hybrid waterfall and agile development. So first, let's look at what is software qualifications is. It is the key essential to understand this session. So when you look at this chart, what do you find? What do you find in the chart? That there are lots of words like process, workflow, report, data analysis, exceptions, deviation, assessment, criteria, checklist, and plan, independence. Yes, those things are the key elements of software qualifications. Software qualifications is a systematic software practice which used to monitor and control the process and work products to comply with defined standards and meet software qualifications release targets. It is done where evaluation against predefined criteria by an independent organization. It always begins in the early phase of a project to establish software qualifications plan, the process, standards, and the checklist. So now you have more idea about what software qualifications is. Let's move on to the main body of today. So first, let's recall a little bit on the software development lifecycle. Again, what you see in this picture, the left side and the right side. Yes, the left side is a waterfall and the right side is a curved river. These are the two typical software development life cycles, waterfall and agile. Waterfall is the first mode to define a disciplined approach to software development. It breaks down project activities into linear sequence phases. Each subsequent phase depends on the deliverables of the previous phase. The work products produced in one phase are typically the input of the subsequent phases. Agile mode is a feature-driven development. It is a software development model that steps and activities are repeated several times. Agile is about being responsible quickly to the market, to the customer needs, and being able to change directions as the situation demands. So what is the biggest difference between waterfall and agile? You can say in the chart, the waterfall always will have the big outcomes at the end, while agile always will have the cumulative outcomes step by step, just like what we saw in picture. You can see here the big outcomes at the end, and agile step by step the cumulative outcomes. Okay, next, let's look at the outcomes. When we look at outcomes of the Waterfall and Agile, this is the famous example from the internet. Look at the left side and the right side. Compare those two approaches. We can find out that Waterfall is easy to miss out what customer really wants. So this is customer asking, and this is the outcome. Well, the Agile does much better work at this point. You can see here, this is the customer asking, and this is the project output. So now, let's look at this picture. What do you see? Lots of things in the pictures, right? Component A, component B, component C, component D. Agile, Waterfall, Waterfall, Agile. Yes, and the platform, right? Yes, there are many components using different software development life cycles, and they are in one platform, one system. So recently, in many large product developments, Waterfall and Agile software development life cycles are used at the same time for different components within a big platform. With the involvement of software development, a single Waterfall or a single Agile mod could not meet the project execution needs, especially for the big platform developments. At this point, HWAD came out. HWAD is a mod which is fit for those programs that cannot be satisfied by either Waterfall or Agile development. So this is the definition for HWAD. Waterfall and Agile software development life cycles used at the same time by different software components within a platform, which is called hybrid Waterfall and Agile development. And this is the typical team structure that normally happens in HWAD. A platform can have multiple software components within it, like this. While a platform could turn into a software component for another platform when it becomes a base for others. Now you can see here, the platform A, it has lots of components. And actually, it can be turned into another, and turned into to be a software component for another platform. So this kind of structure causes the cooperation in HWAD even more complex. So you may have, you may ask, what is platform mentioned here? So the platform mentioned here points to the integrated system of a big project, and the software components mentioned here points to the software components, service, or middleware running on the platform. So what are the major challenges in HWAD? Challenge 1, the schedule alignment between different parts, software and hardware, platform and software components. Challenge 2, the software risk acceptance criteria alignment between platform and software components. One significant issue that happened in HWAD is multiple software development life cycles and different software risk criteria are used by different components. in the same project for the same milestone risk. It causes the problem that platform criteria could not be met as risk readiness review. Challenge 3. The team resisted to change and need role clarification. For the team that using waterfall mode before, they are asked to transfer from the waterfall mode to HWAD mode in a short time. People will feel uncomfortable with the sudden change. And when they are not well trained for the agile process and are not familiar with the new roles and responsibilities in agile mode, they tend to resist to change. So this is a problem. Challenge 4. The big feature evaluation and planning. So when transfer from the waterfall to agile, feature size sometimes is too big to be planned and finished within one sprint. So could not be get the customer feedback for each of the sprint. So how to address those challenges? The answer is HWAM. Do you remember the definition for HWAM? HWAM is the software quality assurance methodology for hybrid waterfall and agile development. It is trying to resolve the problem from 3 aspects: plan, criteria, and process. So first, the plan part. It is trying to resolve the problem by addressing challenge 1 by aligning on the project management plan and align on the software quality assurance plan. Second, the criteria part. It is trying to address challenge 2 by creating 2 sets of risk criteria, one for platform, another for components. Third, the process part is trying to integrate the solutions together, create clear roles and responsibilities, and clear process flow. At the end, we'll show you the results and areas for continuous improvement. HWAM is specially designed to ease the situation that HWAD has. It is used in a situation where multiple software development life cycles and different software acceptance criteria are used in the same platform for the same milestone needs by different software components. It's intended to assess the team and large organization to predict issues in ahead and streamline the risk process flow, clarify roles and responsibility, and get team aligned on risk criteria. And compare with the traditional software quality assurance approach, it is more agile. So first, let's look at the project planning. So this time, what do you see in this picture? Major version, sprint, right? In HWAM, it is just to first map a certain number of sprints to waterfall milestone and list it as a major version. And second, others will be treated as intermediate risks, like engineering risks. A major version can be triggered once a big feature is complete or several big features are integrated. Second, schedule alignment. First, it is just to establish the formal communication plan to synchronize the hardware and software on schedule, scope, and resource. With this, we can identify the points that hardware and software to be integrated, and perform risk analysis and create mitigation plan to narrow down the impact of hardware. Second, it is just to align hardware testing to software iterations as close as possible. In this way, we can get hardware function to be tested in a timely manner. And third, it's just to create a dependency matrix to align the platform and software components release schedule. Make sure software components release can meet platform release targets, and get software component team commitment to the release schedule. The right side is an example about how to align the schedule between different components, including hardware and software. So you can see here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subcomponents and the integrated software platform and hardware here. And you can see here, they are integrated at different points and they have the relationships and dependence. So those kinds of dependence are shared and marked in the schedule. This helps to make sure that we can deliver the project in a smooth way. So finally, I still want to highlight that the dependency between the different components is expected to be highlighted and marked in the schedule. The one in the critical paths will impact the project delivery. So next, the third, let's look at criteria. If we look back to the planning, there are two kinds of releases. One is the major version release, another is the intermediate sprint release. So accordingly, we'll create two sets of the release qualification criteria. So first, for major version release, we'll apply the standard waterfall software release qualification criteria. Second, for each of the intermediate sprint release, we'll decompose and reform the software release criteria to meet the Agile methodology needs. Let's look at them in details. So first, this is the major version release. And for major version release, as suggested, we are trying to apply the typical software release qualification covered in a standard waterfall development. So when we look at this picture, we can find out that it covers requirements, architecture, project planning, monitoring and control, implementation, system integration and validation, and compliance. So let's look at them in details. So first, requirements. Requirement covers custom requirements and technical requirements, and they are expected to be documented and baselined for each of major version release. And second is architecture. Architecture covers system architecture, software architecture specification, high-level design specification, low-level design specification. Also, they are expected to be documented and baselined. Then the third one is the project planning, monitoring, and control. It covers feature route plan, change request changing list, resource capacity plan, custom milestone schedule, project milestone schedule, sub-project milestone schedule, risk management plan, and configuration management plan. So all those plans are expected to be baselined. Then comes the implementation. It covers unit test report, code review report, and code baseline. Then the system integration and validation, it covers system validation test reports, software integration test reports, open defects, and they are expected to meet defined targets. And finally, is the compliance. It covers legal compliance reports, standard compliance reports, certification compliance reports, and regulatory compliance reports. When switching to the intermediate sprint release, we have to think about how to decompose and reform the criteria to meet both compliance and agile purpose. So what is now in your mind? Here are the important points. I think that is very valuable for similar project to reference to. So first, requirements. How to do with requirements? Requirements in waterfall projects are often expected to be essentially complete before design, while in agile methodology, requirements readiness typically increase sprint by sprint. It always will not be compliant if stick to the waterfall's 100% requirement complete. So shifting the idea of requirement complete at the entire project base to sprint base will resolve this issue. Second, architecture. So what is needed for intermediate sprint on the architect part? The answer is the low-level design specification is required, as the intermediate sprint release focus more on the software components release. Others like the system architecture, software architecture specification, high-level design specification, and architect baseline could be skipped, as they has already been covered in major version release. The third is the project planning, monitoring, and control. So feature log plan will be mapped to the sprint backlog. Resource and capacity plan should be mapped to the sprint capacity. Others like the project milestone schedule, risk management plan, configuration plan, and planning baseline will be skipped and checked in major version release only. The fourth one is the implementation. This part, the check items will be the same as the waterfall. And next one is the system integration and validation. This will be same as waterfall, but one thing different, that is, we will use the pre-production target like alpha or beta, but not the PV. Project team could determine themselves based on the business needs for the quality mature level. And finally, the compliance part. What will we do to against the compliance? So for compliance part, we'll still check it, but will not be gating. Why? Why we still check it, but not gating? Still check it just because we want to, since they have already been covered in the major version release, we still check it in intermediate release, trying to mitigate the risk that big gaps found in the major version release. Okay, so here comes the summary for recommended software risk configuration checkpoint covered in the intermediate sprint release based on analysis. So first, requirements covers the technical requirements, and then the architecture covers the low-level design specification, and project planning, monitoring, and control. It covers the sprint backlog, sprint capacity, and implementation. It covers unit test reports, code review reports, and baseline. And system integration and validation, it covers system integration test report and software integration test reports, and they are expected to meet defined targets. And compliance, the same as the major version release, but not gating. Okay. So now we just we talk about lots of the things, good practice, like how to do the project planning, how to do the schedule alignment, and how to define the software risk acceptance criteria. So how to integrate those things together, and how to achieve and repeatable results by different teams? What's your answer? This is what we are going to talk about right now. Now let's talk about the HWAM process flow. We'll create a process to integrate those in together, to identify the clear roles and responsibilities, to guide him on execution. With this, we can achieve a repeatable result. And this is the integrated solution, HWAM process flow. The major activity includes refine the PMP and software coordination plan review between the stakeholders. When we look at the charts, the middle part is the detailed process steps. And the left side is the input of each of the steps. And the right side is the output of each of the steps. Also, we write down the detailed description for each of the roles involved in the process. So besides the workflow, besides the process flow, it is also stressed to describe each of process steps in details. This will help on guiding team on the process execution. So how to well define an action within a process? What's in your mind? What is a good description for the action within a process? We have a systematic structure. We'll show you, and it is just to include those kind of things. So first, purpose, then status criteria, and inputable products, and responsible people, and detailed action list, and outputable products, and exit criteria. And sometimes we'll add book instructions as well. As we mentioned, step 1 in previous HWAM process flow is a very important activity which addresses the major challenges of HWAD. So we would like to show the details here as an example. Let's look at this activity. A purpose. The purpose of this activity is to refine the project management plan to fit for the HWAD. The start criteria, the project management plan in place, inputable products, project management plan, responsible people, platform software quality engineer, and project management and project manager. Action list. So first, add a formal evaluation task in Microsoft project planning in the beginning of project to see if the Agile development methodology was fit for current projects. The second, add Agile development methodology training to the project training plan. For example, the Scrum Master and Product Owner, those kind of trainings. And third, add big picture evaluation and planning training to the project training plan. And fourth, create a software components and platform dependency matrix to align software release schedule. And fifth, create hardware and software dependency matrix to align hardware and software release schedule. And sixth, create a formal communication channel to synchronize hardware and software on schedule, scope, and resources. And seventh, perform risk analysis and mitigation plan to narrow down the impact of hardware. And finally, the eighth, add retrospect meetings for each major version, for each major milestone in the MPP. So you can see here, those kind of actions help to address the challenges. So next one is output products. So for output products, definitely, since we refined project management plan and also refined MPP. So refined project management plan and refined software Microsoft project planning will be the output products for this action. And exit criteria will be the refined project management plan and refined MPP in place. And works instructions is hybrid waterfall and agile execution checklist. So this is a general guidance on how to well describe an action within a process for your reference. And this is the implementation results when applying HWAM. We found that the hardware and software delivery schedule trend converged by the 8th sprint on average. And also the recycle and human resource usage decreased by 62%. And also the received customer feedback received 300% improved. And here is the continuous improvements. Applying HWAM brings lots of benefits, but still there are some areas that have gap and need continuous improvement. For example, look at the table. Sometimes it is hard to map the hardware and soft features to get a good schedule alignment. And in this case, use a unified tool to check both hardware and software features in the same location can resolve this problem to some extent. And sometimes hardware schedule could not fit for the software schedule because of different reasons. In this case, we have to plan additional software risks to fit for the hardware risk schedule. And right now, process KPIs are not formally defined and measured. There's big space to improve to support the continuous improvement. So all of those mentioned are the typical areas to do the continuous improvement in future. So now comes to the summary for this presentation. So in this presentation, we introduced what is software quality assurance and the traditional software development life cycles and HWAD. We analyzed the challenges exist in HWAD and proposed an approach to resolve them. We introduced HWAM, the software quality assurance methodology for hybrid waterfall and agile development, the definition and the 3 key elements: plan, criteria, and process. We showed how to define a good process and also how to well describe an action within a process. As we mentioned, one significant factor is to refine the project management plan to fit for HWAD. This is extremely important to ensure project success. Another key factor to ensure project success is how to decompose and reform the software risk criteria to meet agile methodology needs. Hybrid waterfall and agile development has involved with the software development, how to leverage the benefits of both models, waterfall and agile, and how to dealing with the complex issues encountered in the execution is a long-term topic. But with the continuous lessons learned and the best practice summarized, we can predict and prevent issues in ahead and reduce the risks and meet customer delivery needs. I hope with this introduction, it could inspire you some idea if you meet the similar situation and could benefit your work. Finally, I would like to say thank you to my team, Felix, Mei-Chen, Wing-Wei, and the Intel software quality team. Also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank to the PNSQC conference organizer and the paper reviewers for your kind review and support. As time is limited, I cannot show you all the details, but you can refer to our paper if you are interested. I will stop here and say if there are any questions. Thank you.